the sports media palace of Mid-America, the Wolf of Center Street. Here's your host, John Nabors.
And welcome into the John Nabors Show here live from Natty State Sports Studios. I am your host, John Nabors, and appreciate each and every one of you listening in and watching in on this beautiful day here in the great state of Arkansas. And as always, thank you for making us a part of your afternoon this afternoon, as there are a lot of things that we're going to try to cover in today's show. Not only are we going to talk a lot about March Madness, because it is going on currently, and don't worry, I'm sure a lot of you, just like me and just like us here at Natty State Sports, have our bracket completely and totally busted, and it sucks. And Mississippi State, I'm never going to forgive you. So that's on me, though. I shouldn't have picked him in the first place. But either way, we're going to talk about some of the March Madness going on, but we're also going to have Tyler Spoon joining us, former Razorback baseball player, as, of course, he's joining us each and every week. Had to move him to Thursday because of yesterday, having a lot of craziness going on with some of the big things that would have been happening with here at Natty State, but also some other interviews that we had, and that's, of course, thanks to Bank of Fayetteville. So we'll talk to him about a few things and, of course, get into some of your comments and some of your questions and some of your things that you put in the chat, because there's a lot of things that we got to dive into today. There's two things, really. Razorback basketball related, I think, is the most important thing that we need to go ahead and get underway with. And the first one that we'll start with is the title of this stream and of today's show, dealing with Razorback guard Leaden Blocker, or I should say former Razorback guard Leaden Blocker. Because today it was officially announced, not necessarily a surprise if you've been following the pod at the Palace or what Curtis and Scotty have been doing there on nattystatesports.com, that he decided that he wanted to take his talents elsewhere. And again, it's like yesterday with Devo Davis. It's always going to be, I wouldn't say alarming, but just something that you didn't really want to see if you're a Razorback fan. And he put up this particular quote and graphic, because that's what they do nowadays. But he went on to social media and said, "Prayer, hard work, and sacrifice opened up the doors for me to have an opportunity to play college basketball. First and foremost, I want to thank God for blessing me with the talent to play this game. I want to thank the University of Arkansas coaching staff for recruiting me. It was an honor to come home and represent the state of Arkansas and the Razorback program. I'm grateful for my teammates. They have become my brothers, who all supported me on this journey. Thank you to all the fans and the community for your love and support throughout the season. I also want to give a special thanks to the local businesses for your support. And after much discussion and consideration, I've decided to enter into the transfer portal. Sincerely, Layden Blocker." Now, the response to this has been quite massive, I feel like, from many people, mainly, of course, Razorback fans, as they have reacted to the news of not only having Leaden Blocker leave, but continuing to have guys enter into the portal that were on the Razorback basketball team this past season. I'll say this. You never want to see guys leave. You never want to see players get left or have any sort of issues there. But one of the things that you have to understand is that it's the culture and it's kind of the setup of everything going on with college basketball and college sports in general. You know, the transfer portal is something that people can like or dislike, but it's just part of it. But speaking of specifically Leaden Blocker, I understand why some Razorback fans are very disappointed. I mean, I didn't want to see Leaden Blocker leave necessarily. I thought that there may have been some upside there. There may have been some time where he could have developed and helped the team, especially towards the end of the season when it seemed like it was all over, that Arkansas was not going to be making the SEC tournament or NCAA tournament. Maybe you could have played him a little bit more than some of the other players, getting him more experience, getting him more play, and I know that has to be something that impacted his decision on him leaving Arkansas, is just the lack of playing time, especially down the stretch, because I can't really remember in the past 5 games that Arkansas played how many times Leaden Blocker actually played, any sort of significant minutes. So again, there's that disappointment element that comes into every Hog fan's mind of that. And I wish Leaden Blocker nothing but the best. Leaden was a kid that came here to Natty State Sports and was one of our very first NIL interviews that we ever did with Pod at the Palace with Curtis and Scotty, and it was a great interview. And really appreciated him and respected him for doing so. And I was, very impressed by him. I think that he comes from a great family. I think that his causes that he dealt with, which was so special too, because I don't think he'll mind us saying this, but when he came in for the interview, of course, when we do interviews, we like to do via NIL, being able to give some of the student athletes not only a platform like what we do here, but also to help them out with, getting a little extra change in their pocket. Well, Layden Blocker, when he came in, we told him, made an agreement on the money of what we were going to pay him, and he agreed and everything. But he came in, he's like, I don't want money, though. I just tell him whatever you were going to pay me, donate that to the Yvonne Richardson Center here in Fayetteville and use that as a gift and just put it in your name towards that. Put it in Natty State Sports' name towards that. And I was really, impressed by that. I was very impressed by that. I was impressed by somebody like him, an 18-year-old kid, a freshman, being so giving that way. And he did a lot of things here in the community and here for the state of Arkansas that made me extremely proud, to see kids like that and from the state be able to give back in such a way. But now it was seeing the lack of playing time that he got. I was not surprised to see him entered into the portal. I don't really know why he didn't play more than what he did, especially towards the end of the year. I don't know why Muss or the coaching staff decided to handle him the way that they did. They know more than me. They're coaching a long time and probably have been better at this than what I've been. So I'm going to trust their judgment on it. But overall, I'm just disappointed. I'm disappointed that he is moving on. And Arkansas now, at this given time, and again, if you go to nattystatesports.com, you can see the roster tracker for them. They only have 4 scholarship players left from last year's team. You have Tremont Mark, you have Caleb Battle, you have Trevin Brazil, and you have Bay Fall. So you can look at it in a couple of different ways. You can look at it and saying, okay, well, those are the players that you want to have. I think we even talked about the 3 players that they want back, and that I think Razorback fans would want back would be Trevin Brazil, Tremont Mark, and Caleb Battle. I think that'd be a nice nucleus of players to build around and to move forward with it. Don't know if that's going to happen, but if all 3 of those guys came back, that'd be huge. And Bay Fall, and I still feel like Bay Fall may move on. I have no sources that say that. It's just given circumstances of a McDonald's All-American player, couldn't see the court at all much this season. And I don't think that it was a bad thing that he didn't see the court, because you could tell there was a lot of raw upside, but just no skill set into coming in and to help out the team. But I would just assume, given the circumstances, given the lack of winning, that he was going to be someone who moves on. So we'll have to wait and see on Bay and the other 3 guys. But that's what your roster looks like right now. And that's where Razorback fans become very concerned with all of this. They become concerned with it because they're afraid that they're seeing all these players moving on, that they're leaving, that they are doing their own thing. And it's just like, man, where we're getting the return on this. It's a transactional process. You're losing a lot, but where's our return? Where's the names? Where's the players that we're going to be getting in here? It hasn't happened yet. I think it will. I know it will. But that is certainly a circumstance that you're not really wanting to be in right now. But you got to wait until you see how it plays out. Because, again, I liked Layden Blocker. But if you're able to assemble a team for next season where you lose all these players, but yet you're able to get just as good or maybe even better players in return, it kind of works itself out and you can feel a lot better about it. I just really hope, and this would be the most Arkansas thing ever, I just really hope that wherever Layden Blocker ends up, it's not a place where, 1, he gets to play Arkansas often, because I always hate seeing that, and 2, he plays Arkansas, or he doesn't play Arkansas, one of the 2, but he just kills it. He ends up blowing up. Because say what you want about Eric Muscleman, but the players that have transferred out of the program very seldom, if ever at all, ended up being amazing at their other schools or doing anything major at some other schools. I mean, maybe you could say Reggie Chaney when he went to Houston, rest in peace. He was at least a starter. He didn't have amazing stats or anything, but he was definitely someone who contributed to a really high-quality team in Houston. You think back to when you had, I guess, like a K.K. Robinson and Ethan Henderson went to A&M. They didn't do anything there. Desi Sills went to Arkansas State for a second, but then he went to Kansas State, and he played okay. But, nothing really major there. Darian Ford, I believe, is at Arkansas State. He did a good job, too, but wasn't at some major college. I'm trying to think of also Barry Dunning, UAB. There's been a few, so I'm not saying that nobody's been, but you've never had a player leave Arkansas in the transfer portal and blow up and be like, man, why? I wish we had that kid. I wish he was still here. It just hasn't happened yet. Yet is what you need to be doing. So that's where it stands right now with the transfer portal and with Layden Blocker. I hate to see it. But, folks, we got to talk about something else, too. This is I would have titled the stream this, but I already had it put into place. I already had it scheduled. So I didn't really have a chance to go back and edit it because it happened literally before my show started, literally just now. And so we do need to talk about it and what's happening. Because Jeff Borzillo, who covers college basketball, a very astute and very highly qualified guy who basically covers all things college basketball, has tweeted out that they have updated their coaching carousel tracker with some early talk on the SMU vacancy. Yes, Southern Methodist University down there in Dallas. 3 of the names buzzing early are Will Wade, Eric Muscleman, and Steve Lutz. That's for the SMU job, folks. The SMU job. Now, when I saw this, I was like, okay. No, like, how does that name even get thrown around? Is there actually some legit smoke to this? Because coaching carousels, as you all know, and I know, dealing with all things that have ever happened in all of just college basketball, college football, plane tracking season, all that fun stuff. You know that names get thrown around, but it doesn't always mean something. Names get thrown around for who they may be interested in, who maybe fits their profile, who may or may not have interviewed. Like there's just a lot of questions that get thrown around as far as what it may be and what it may end up being and all of that. So it's still very early to know one way or the other what this means specifically. But it is something that you got to consider and you got to look at and you got to take seriously. Because this is now, the fourth or fifth job opening that's come up that seemed like his name connected to. For a while there, it was Louisville. And then, people may have connected to Michigan. Then there was like DePaul that was getting thrown around. Nothing really set in stone as far as astute members of the media and national people throwing it out there. But definitely this one is the one where if you have Jeff Borzillo tweeting out the name, there's got to be at least something to it, you would think. So what has been written here by Jeff Borzillo, and this is the latest update, which happened just about an hour ago, maybe less than an hour ago, is that SMU is there's kind of a stunner because midway through the first day of the NCAA tournament, they informed Rob Lanier that he was out after just 2 seasons. He struggled his first season, but proved by 10 wins in his second season. He won 20 games. 20 games before losing on Wednesday in the NIT. So when something like that happens, you fire a coach who improved from year to year and got to a 20-win season where he doubled his wins from the previous year, and they fire him. I know it was the NIT, but they fire him. There's 2 things. There's actually 3 ways to look at this. One, they could have fired him because there was stuff that were going on behind the scenes or stuff that was off the court or stuff that they just didn't like, that they ended up making a move and saying, hey, we know that you had maybe some success there on the court, but there were too many other factors that played into it that we didn't feel comfortable, we didn't feel good, and we got to move on. That could have been the case. Or the second thing is that they are incompetent as an athletic department and as a basketball program and the type of program they want to run, where they feel like in year 2 you should have done better than 20 games in the NIT. You should have been better, and so you're gone, and that shows just kind of their incompetency. Or three. The reason that they moved on from him is because they have a better option waiting in the wings. They have a better option that is willing to move and to become the SMU basketball coach. Now, Will Wade, who was over at McNeese, he's, of course, still in the NCAA tournament, former LSU coach, got all that stuff happened in the quote, strong-ass offer that he was a part of, and the feds and the wiretapping and everything. Say what you want, but he had success at LSU. He had some really good players. And him being at McNeese, and he's got them rolling and looking really good, he's a name that's going to get thrown around a lot. It's just a fact. Whether you like the dude or not, he's somebody that can at least make it happen and knows coaching in college basketball to a major level. And Steve Lutz at Western Kentucky. Western Kentucky's always had produced some really good basketball programs, some basketball teams that were really good. I don't know if, how much that'll change people's minds with Western Kentucky and the Hilltoppers. I know they're in the NCAA tournament this year, but, that's a guy that may want to make the jump, especially since SMU, is crazy to think, is joining the ACC. So that's another thing you got to take into consideration. They are joining a major conference. Of course, who knows what the ACC looks like next year because of all what's going on. But then you have Eric Muscleman. And that is one that where you're like, what in the crap does that mean? How in the, Will Wade, okay. Steve Lutz, okay. Eric Muscleman, no way that Eric Muscleman would leave Arkansas to go to SMU. SMU. No basketball presence, no basketball culture, no basketball anything. No way. But Jeff Borzello goes on to write in his article, in his update, talking about Muscleman, where it says that Muscleman just finished his worst season since arriving in Fayetteville, 16-17 overall, and in a streak of 3 straight Sweet 16 appearances. And he also goes on to talk about with SMU, in the school's official announcement of the coaching change, he cited the school's investment in basketball, its NIL opportunities in the move to the ACC as reasons why it should be competing with the best. Okay, that's fine, but the dude was in year 2 and jumped up from 10 wins to 20 wins. But reading between the lines, Borzello continues to write, and based on a few conversations with industry sources this afternoon, it sounds like SMU is going to pursue some big-name coaches in an attempt to win immediately in the ACC, which is why Muscleman's name got thrown around. Here's the thing. I don't believe Eric Muscleman is going to SMU. I don't believe he's going to SMU. I think that this is just SMU side of things, throwing out his name. I think this is them just trying to showcase how much they're going after big names and the willingness that they are to get somebody that can make a spark and start winning immediately. I think that's a big part of it. But I'm going to be honest, folks. If, it's a big if Eric Muscleman was to leave Arkansas for SMU, it's hard for me to give a pleasant goodbye to that. It's going to be extremely hard for me to do that. I don't think that I can just say, man, we appreciate it, good luck. Because that is dropping down way, way, way low on the totem pole. And honestly, it's very embarrassing if that was to happen. Now, I love Eric Muscleman. I've said many times I want Eric Muscleman to stay here at Arkansas. I want to see what he can do next season and get it going. But the fact that this is even something that's getting brought up is one of the most absurd things I've heard. And it would be one of, if not the most absurd move made in college basketball and coaching changes. I would love to see and hear other examples of any other basketball program that didn't want to lose their said coach. Like, they didn't fire him. It wasn't a mutual departing of ways or anything, where a coach left a higher tier basketball position and job to willingly go to a place that is nowhere near the successful and named recognition type program in this capacity. I just don't think that happens. And if it has happened, it couldn't happen very often. There's not many examples on it. But also, too, with Arkansas, since we're talking specifically about Arkansas, Arkansas has had something done here at this program that not many coaches, or not many schools, I should say, can say. All the major programs across the board, when you've had successful coaches, none of those coaches have left for, quote, bigger jobs, except for one. And that was Eddie Sutton. I'll admit, Kentucky was and is a better basketball job than Arkansas. It's just the facts. But besides that, which, by the way, Eddie Sutton even said in his memoir and in his biography and everything that it was the biggest mistake he ever made was leaving Arkansas to go to Kentucky. But besides that, no coach who has had high-level success has ever left for a bigger or better gig because they just wanted that bigger or better gig. You could even cite Gary Blair when he went to Texas A&M. That was Arkansas's fault. That was Bev Lewis and John White's fault. That wasn't an Arkansas thing. Gary Blair wanted to stay at Arkansas. He still loves Arkansas. But that was Arkansas's undoing. He didn't want to go to Texas A&M just because he saw this allure of this greater program. It was Arkansas not getting the job done in the way that they needed. So I don't even count that. My particular feeling on it, though, is that you can never, ever, for the sake of your own pride, have a situation where Muss would be one of the first coaches to leave Arkansas willingly, not to go to a better job, but to go to a worse job. That's insanity. He'd be the first one that, I'm trying to wrap my head around this, folks. Again, I'm not saying he's going. I still don't think he's going. But we're playing the what-if game because it is here. It is being discussed. And we do have an actual national college basketball expert putting it out there into the ether. And I know Jeff Borzello. The dude would not put something out there unless there was some sort of truth into it, at least from the sake of SMU pursuing Eric Muscleman. But I'm telling you right now, if this ended up happening, it would be one of the most embarrassing things you could have happen to your athletic program. One of. Obviously, going 2-10 in back-to-back seasons is pretty bad in football. Obviously, the Dana Altman situation was pretty embarrassing, where you hired a coach and the next day he left to go back. Pretty embarrassing. But this would be something that there's no rhyme or reason to it. I know that they're getting involved with the NIL, and they're saying that going to the ACC, which also, by the way, they agreed to not get any revenue from the ACC, I believe, for the first 10 years of being in the conference. So it's not like they're getting all the television revenue from it. So that means that maybe it's going to go back to the old days of the 80s where you had the Pony Express. Maybe you got the oil rig people and really flooding in some money for NIL. Maybe that's the case. But you can just not have it to where your high-level program, your historic and storied basketball program, a place that has 20,000 people in the stands, a place that produces high-level high school talent each and every year, a place with top-notch facilities, a place with incredible NIL, like all of this stuff, you cannot have this happen. And that's why I am really, really hoping that this is just fake news, if you would. This is just SMU talking to Borzello and saying, yeah, we're going to go after Eric Muscleman. Probably won't get him, but we're going to go after him. That's what I'm hoping this is. And it very well may be. But if there was ever a time that the University of Arkansas Razorback basketball program needed some positive news to hit them, it needs to be now. It needs to be now. Razorback basketball needs something positive to go their way. Whether it's one of these players that they want back and announcing they're coming back, whether it's Musk coming out and announcing that they have an extension, whatever it is, big name coming out of the portal that walks in there. Maybe that could be the case. But they need desperately to get some good news their way. Because right now, if you're a Razorback basketball fan, it's hard to feel positive. But the scariest thing about all of this, folks, is less than a year ago, 9 months ago, 8 months ago, 6 months ago, this situation wasn't even fathomable. Like, this is something that it's gone too quickly. I never would have dreamed in a million years we'd see the season that we had. Never would I have dreamed in a million years that there would be the drama surrounding the program in which we're seeing. And never in a million years did I think that standing or just sitting before you in the year of our Lord 2024 on March 21st, the very first day of the NCAA tournament action in the first round, would I be starting off my show talking about the possibility of Eric Muscleman going to SMU? What has happened? Where did we lose control of this situation? Where did we find out about this? How did we go so wrong? What did we do wrong? What did Razorback fans do to deserve this? Again, I'm not trying to go doomsday scenario on everybody because, it's just could be nothing. It could just be a bunch of trash and Muss is going to stay and they're going to keep it going and things are going to be great. Like that absolutely could be the case still. So I want to make sure that everybody's aware of that and make sure that everyone's on the same page as me. I'm hoping that it's all fake and it's all just, blown out of proportion. But where I'm standing right now, it's the lack of communication and the lack of transparency, everything just is not going well for Arkansas and us fans. You need something good to happen. You need something good to pop. And that's the scariest thing about this all, is that you feel helpless. Feel like you have no control. You paid your money, you supported, you went crazy, you had fun, you traveled, you had high hopes, you had high expectations, you sold out Bud Walton Arena each and every year with season tickets. Razorback fans, you did your job. And I believe the U of A did their job. I believe with the NIL, it did its job. And I know comments are coming in about it. I'll address them in a second. But everybody surrounding this program, you felt like did their job. You did what you were supposed to do. But now you feel like you're the ones being punished for it. You're having to play this what-if game. You're having to play the waiting game. Not just with the team and the roster next season. You're having to do it with the head coach. And I'm not sitting here blaming Muss either. I'm not sitting here like, this is all Muss is doing, and Muss is this, and Muss is that. Because, I don't know. I don't know. But I'm coming from the perspective of the fan base. None of us know. None of us have any indication. Everything's changing every day. I hear things from people I trust and trusted sources. I know Curtis and Scotty, who have a lot more knowledge about it and a lot more in-depth connections than what I do. And it's kind of the same thing for them. It's like you hear something new every day. It changes every single day. And I guess it gets to the point where it's exhausting. Just give us answers. Just let us know. Just let us know. You staying or you going? Do you need something? What is it? Let us know. Maybe we can help. Do you want to stay? Is this where you want to be? Or do you not want to be? Let us know something. Help us out here. Because I don't like this. I can't take the same thing, man. It's been tough. But doesn't lack any sort of craziness going on, that's for sure. It's definitely not lacking that. Folks, we'll get to your comments. I know there's a lot coming in, and we'll have a lot to discuss, so keep those comments coming. I see them all, don't worry. But we'll talk about it, so just stay with us here, because we're going to take a break, and then we'll come back into more of your comments. But first, folks, I got to tell you about the fine folks over at Signature Bank, because at Signature Bank, me and Branson were over there earlier today, and as we were doing some banking stuff, because Natty State Sports, our official bank, is Signature Bank. And I'll tell you, when we went over there, it's just always amazing to see and to hear the welcome that we get, the very interpersonal, the very great conversations to have, and it's just a warm feeling, and that's the way banks should be. And with Signature Bank, no matter where the location's at, you're always going to get that. And they have locations all across the state of Arkansas. And they like to be community-focused. They're business-minded, right-sized, forward-thinking, but most of all, they're personally invested. Personally invested in you, in your family, and everybody involved when it comes to doing your banking, whether it's your personal or business, checking, saving, doesn't matter. They do it all. So you got to check out Signature Bank, all right? Check out Signature Bank and all their convenient locations across the state of Arkansas. You can also visit them online to hear more and to see more at www.signature.bank. That's www.signature.bank. You can check them out that way too. But I'm telling you right now, you'll never be disappointed when you come to having a great local bank here in the state of Arkansas that cares about you and is going to take care of you. Do all of your banking, no matter what banking it is, with Signature Bank here in Arkansas. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll get to your comments and your questions. So stay with us here on the John Nabors Show, live from Natty State Sports Studios.
We not done yet either. So don't be satisfied because we not done.
I mean, honestly, I don't really remember post-game. I guess I black out after games, winning and losing.
You missed it. You missed it. You missed it. Just tell me you missed it. I'm not going to go there with you, Dave. Why not?
And that will be the last question I answer with that hat on.
Oh, shoot.
That is why Arkansas is fantastic.
Yes, sir.
You know, and I like, I didn't like the game, but I'm glad I was able to walk off the floor again and deep inside and have that funny feeling that, hey, one more time, Horns.
Best guys, I know it's a tough time for you. The coach is gone, but you got a new coach now, and you got to listen to what he says. Okay, I know you're thinking, oh, who is this new guy? Where's the other guy that crashed the motorcycle? We like him better. He was cool or whatever. Forget about all that. Listen to the new coach and get out there and win some games.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks.
You guys act like it's... Pick it up a little bit. Okay? Get your chin up. Smile. Smile. Okay? Dang, you guys, all right? If not, I'm not talking.
I'm so excited. Big Red. Oh.
Guys, I've got just one thing I want to say to you. Touchdown, Arkansas!
I was a teacher today. Told those boys, welcome to the SEC.
Well, Fayetteville is 1,843 miles away, but the call of the Hogs can be heard all the way to San Francisco.
Let's stick my dick in the mashed potatoes. Go Hogs.
Powered by Arkansas, for Arkansas.
Every time you put a mic in my face, I'm going to say Arkansas.
The John Nabors Show is live from the Natty State Sports Studios.
All right, welcome back into the John Nabors Show here live from Natty State Sports Studios. Appreciate each and every one of you listening in and watching in on this beautiful day here in the great state of Arkansas, as I'm your host, John Nabors. I know we've been talking a lot of Razorback basketball. We're going to have Tyler Spoon here join us about half an hour, catch up with him about the Razorback baseball team, which actually has a game tonight, taking on Auburn on the road, so we'll get into that too. But I know with what's happening right now in Razorback basketball land, there's a lot to get to, so we'll talk about some of that in your Arkansas update and everything. So let's get to some of your comments, because I know a lot of you are checking in and giving your thoughts and opinions on all of it. Like Will says, John, I forgot the H, but I'll take it. John might need that bottle of Tito's after hearing the Blocker news. Well, maybe so. Maybe so. It's not to that point yet. Now, if the entire roster's gone and Arkansas has not replaced anybody, possibly. Or if Eric Muscleman leaves for SMU, yeah, we may be killing a few bottles here at Natty State Sports. It may end up happening. So it's just been pretty sickening. In fact, that's what Tammy says. Tammy says, I'm sick over the news of Blocker leaving. Yeah, again, I hate to see Blocker leaving, but I'm also not. I don't know, maybe I'm just different. Maybe I'm ever the optimist, but I'm just like, I don't see it as just this massive, horrible blow to Arkansas where they're just never going to recover from it. I just don't see it that way. I do believe he should have played more. And I do believe he could have been a really good player for Arkansas. But, yeah, that was just a very disappointing thing. Nick says, Mark needs to go pro. Brazil needs to get healthy. Fall just needs to bulk up. Yeah, easier said than done. It doesn't mean they're all going to be doing that, too. Yeah, everyone's talking about there's no way. And so this was something that I want to say. Is Caleb says, we have incredible NIL. That's a scoop. And then Nick Lee says, LOL, Caleb, I thought the same. Folks, I've talked about this on my show numerous times. And, again, I'm just going to say it because I know it doesn't matter, though, because none of y'all are going to believe it, which is fine. But it's like I know for a fact that Arkansas does a great job in the NIL. I know you don't want to hear that, and you may be frustrated to hear that, and you may not believe me. That's fine. Believe whatever you want to hear. But I'm telling you, and I wouldn't lie to you. There's no reason for me to lie to you about this. Arkansas does a phenomenal job in NIL. Now, does it mean that all their money and funding goes towards football? No. There's a lot of other programs that do that, but Arkansas does not. If anything, Arkansas does sprinkle a good amount of NIL across all sports. You could say that's good, you could say that's bad, but it's just the truth. And as I said before, and I'll say it again, the basketball team this year, folks, do you really think this past season NIL was the problem? Like, do you really look at it and just say, well, Muss had to settle for lesser players? Sure, yeah, it would have been nice to get Ron Holland, but Ron Holland was getting, that's why they thought that they were getting him. But the G League upped their pay to him, and they got him. So it's like, that would have been a nice little addition. But do you really think that all the issues with NIL, you think Brazil would have stayed? And you think Caleb Battle and L. Ellis, guys that a lot of schools wanted, mind you, Tremont Mark, do you really think that they came to Arkansas because their NIL sucks? Do you think Arkansas last year would have gotten 3 McDonald's All-Americans and first-round picks out of high school freshmen if their NIL sucked? Come on now. Use logic. I understand you're pissed. I'm pissed. Shouldn't have to have a season like you had this past year. But just try to be logical about it. The NIL is not an issue here. I feel like that's a Big Lebowski quote. The NIL is not the issue. The talent is there. Now, was the talent there to win a national championship? You tell me, because all these college basketball experts had Arkansas in the top 10, going to a Final Four, even win a national championship. Why did they think that? Did they think that because the players weren't any good? No. They thought that because of how much talent that Arkansas had. The NIL is no issue. So that's my thing, is just people continue to want to keep going out about it and talking about the NIL and how it sucks at Arkansas. And I just don't get that. I honestly, truly do not understand where that comes from. Because the talent for football and basketball these past seasons, yeah, they sucked. But did Arkansas go 4-8 in football because they just didn't have the talent? Did they go 16-17 in basketball because they didn't have the talent? No, I don't buy that. And I don't agree with it. But you guys just got to understand, NIL can't be just the source of every problem that you have. Sure, it can be a problem. But right now, it's good. Could it always be more? Of course it could. That's why everybody wants more. Even the teams and the schools that have the most NIL, the biggest budget of NIL, they would probably still want it to be more. It can always be more. But the fact of the matter is that you look at your recruiting and transfer portal rankings in basketball. It's still one of the best in the country, year in and year out. But the NIL sucks. Does it? Come on now. I'm not trying to come after anybody, but I just don't understand why people have the idea that the NIL is just boo-boo here. It's terrible, and it's weird. Just don't understand it. Random Stuff says, Blocker going in the portal feels like a punch in the gut. I mean, I get it. It's not something you wanted to see today, but it's also not surprising. Also, again, I could be wrong about this, but I thought it was pretty much confirmed knowledge that Arkansas was going to be losing pretty much their entire roster. I thought that was established. I could be wrong. Maybe just haven't been following up with the pot at the Palace very much. But yeah, that's true. Let's see. 2006 Nissan says, when is the prayer meeting at the Hog Fountain for guidance with the basketball program? I'll be leading that tomorrow tomorrow morning, bright and early, 6 a.m. It's the Hog Fountain. Join me as we try to offer a prayer up to the basketball gods and why they have forsaken us. Why that's the case. Hunter says, is SMU a truly attractive job? Does Muss have ties to that area? I mean, on the surface, no. It's not more attractive than Arkansas. You are in the Dallas area, so that's helpful. You do have a recruiting base there, and I don't know what the NIL budget is at SMU, I'll be honest, but that was one of the things that they kept talking about, having joining the ACC, that maybe that's going to help out with them, but as for me, I don't think it's an attractive job. Casey says, if Muss stays, you can always rebuild a roster, but we need some guys who can play together. Absolutely. You got to have those guys. That was the problem this past year. You didn't have guys played as a team. And I think Caleb Battle made that very clear. And other comments that were made by the team made that very clear. This team did not play as a team. They did not go together. They did not figure it out. They did not work hard together. They did not do the things that they were asked to do, that they were coached to do. They didn't do them collectively as a team. And that's why you saw I'm going to call it a disaster. That's why you saw the disaster that you did this season. Kingsley says, a fact-based understanding of what NIL actually is would help a lot of y'all understand what John is saying here. Yeah, it's, like, again, I'm not saying that I'm the only one that knows, but I'm telling you right now, like, folks, I would challenge anybody, whether it's in the media or anything, that has done more research or had more discussions and seen actual things going into perspective about NIL here at the University of Arkansas than me. Like, I was personally invited about 2 years ago, roughly, to hang out and talk with the people of the NIL department at the University of Arkansas. I've talked to them about it. I've seen things. Like, I'm not making it up. They're not telling me things just because I wanted to hear, because there's a lot of things I can't say, and they told me I can't say. But I'm just telling you right now, that is not the issue here. NIL is not the issue here. Cody says, was Blocker ever going to be there offensively, similar to Devo? Also, there's no way our NIL is that far off. Smith, Black, Walsh, Council 2 years ago, we made huge splashes too. Yes, thank you. That's the whole point about the NIL. You're not getting these big-time players and keeping big-time players by having crappy NIL. Like, it's just not happening. As far as your first question, though, about Blocker, I don't know. Like, he started, I guess, being better offensively. He went forever without making a three, and then he finally did. So I don't know, but there was some Devo vibes I got to him. But I did like his defense. I liked his effort. I liked his energy. But I just don't know. I don't think he would have, if he played all season this year, I don't think it would have made the difference in Arkansas's win and loss record. Maybe made a difference in him developing, and maybe made a difference in him being ready and better and wanting to be better next year under Muss. But overall, I just don't think that's the case. And finally, Ron Kennard says, players are transferring, no surprise. The only question is, will Coach Much stay? Either way, we're going to see a number of new players next year. Yeah, no matter what, you're having a whole new roster next season. Like, that's not even the question. That's not even a problem there. Like, you're going to be having an entire new roster. At the absolute most, I'm talking about scholarship players, mind you. At the absolute most, you will have 3 players from this last year's team, scholarship players from this last year's team on this year's team. I think at best case scenario, you got Mark, Battle, and Brazil back next season. Best case. And I think that that's still a long shot. I think getting 2 would be great of those 3. Getting 1 is probably most likely to come back. 9 and if all of them go, we may start to have some serious discussions about what's going on. Keep those comments coming, folks. Let's go ahead and get into your Arkansas update, brought to you by Davis & Garrett Insurance, your independent auto owners insurance agency, securing what matters most. And for those of you who are just joining us for your Arkansas update, we, of course, saw that Layden Blocker, Razorback guard, is transferring out. Don't know where he's going to be going. Wish him nothing but the best and wherever he goes. So I'm sure we'll know here after a while with the portal that's been opened up, which, by the way, I hate the fact that the portal is open up. The start of NCAA tournament play, that makes no dadgum sense to me at all. So they got to change. They got to change these windows of portal. And I know that everyone's like, oh, about the players and everything. To me, the transfer portal window needs to be extremely small. I'm talking about a week. It needs to be a week. It needs to be later after season's end. But it just needs to be at a time that makes sense for the coaches, for the players, for the programs, for everybody to say, all right, here's our 1 week. Let's knock it out. Let's get it going. Boom. There it is. Like that's what it needs to be. So I just hate how it happened the same way in football season where, you just had, like, what was it? I guess the window opened up. I think it was the week of conference championships, maybe right after then. And then you have teams that are, getting ready for the national championship. Like, they may be losing players, but they can't add any players because it's just nonsense and it's ridiculous. So I would love to see them get that fixed. I don't know if it'll ever happen, but that's pretty terrible. Arkansas also has a baseball game tonight. The number 1, I need to start addressing them as that. The number 1 Razorback baseball team has a game tonight and a series starting tonight against the Auburn Tigers, who are 23rd in the country. Arkansas 17-2, 3-0 in SEC play after sweeping Missouri, is going to be facing off against the number 23 Auburn Tigers, who are 14-6, 0-3 in the SEC as they got swept by Vanderbilt. It's the first SEC road series of the season for the Hogs, and they will be starting tonight at 6 p.m. on the SEC Network. Not the SEC Network Plus, folks. You are on the big dog. You're on the big screen here as they're going to be taking on Auburn tonight at 6 o'clock. Will be first pitch, SEC Network then. But then tomorrow night, the game's at 6 p.m. It's going to be on SEC Network Plus. And on Saturday in the final game, which hopefully ends up being a sweep, Arkansas plays Auburn at 2 p.m. on the SEC Network Plus. If you want to know who Arkansas starting rotation is going to be, I don't know why you would, because you know it. Hagan Smith and Brady Tigard and Mason Molina, all 3 pitchers are 3-0. Get this. Hagan Smith's 3-0, has a 1.57 ERA. Mason Molina is 3-0 and has a 2.74 ERA. Brady Tigard, 3-0, 0.73 ERA. So the point is, Arkansas's pitching in the starting rotation and even in the bullpen is really, really good. So there you have it. There's your Arkansas update, brought to you by Davis & Garrett Insurance, your independent auto owners insurance agency, securing what matters the most. Before we take a break, because I know we'll have some other comments to get into, Randy also said, should Yurchek start putting a prospective coaching list available? Randy, I can tell you this, and this is not just for here, but I remember Hunter Yurchek talking about this as he said that, I want to say it was when he hired Sam Pittman, but I remember him saying that he always keeps a list of coaches. Always. Like in his pocket type thing. If he watches games or if he meets coaches or anything, he's like, I like that guy. And these are the reasons why I like that guy. He's on my list. So I don't know where that list is at. It could be on his phone. Could be, some sort of like sticky note on his desk. I don't know. But Yurchek always keeps a list of prospective coaches. I think hopefully the good ones, at least the good athletic directors, actually do that too. So I would say that that's definitely something that he already has there. And if he gets an indication of where Muss is going, if Muss ends up leaving, I'm sure that he's going to be ahead of the game and making some phone calls and try to make it happen. And Jose says, did y'all see what Mason Jones said about transferring? Yeah, I did see that. I actually want to pull that back up. Thank you for bringing it up because I retweeted it too. And Mason Jones said everybody transferring, when it get hard, you just supposed to go harder. That's what he's saying. Now, that could be simply about Arkansas, but it also just could be in general because that is the transfer portal and it's going crazy. I will say that I'm a fan of Mason Jones, and I do agree with him in this tweet to an extent because I will be honest. I'm not that person just hates the transfer portal and thinks it's awful all the time, but there is an element to it of like the second you don't get 100% of everything that you ever thought you wanted or thought you deserved or whatever, you just leave. And that is a bad mentality. That is not a good mentality to have. I mean, imagine if any of us in our jobs or whatever, if we walked into that job and we were like, I have an expectation, and if it's not 100% met, I'm leaving. None of us would ever have a job. We'd be job hopping like crazy. None of us would ever have a job. It's not to say that we don't want things that we feel like we deserve, but I also feel like it's a matter of percentages. Did you get 80% of what you wanted? It's a pretty good percentage. 80% of what you wanted, what you were promised, everything? Sure. I think that's a case and worthy of staying. 60%? Teetering a little bit, but still if there's some stuff that happens, coaching changes, things that you were promised that you didn't get, I think that's a whole different animal, a whole different can of worms. But I still just wish that there's no transparency in it because but taking that aside, I still believe that there are some players out there that do need to hit the portal and that it's best for them to hit the portal. Because I think that if coaches are able to jump to jobs whenever they want, players should too. That's what I believe. But I also think that there needs to be a little bit of accountability too. Not every situation's the same, and so that's why it's hard to pinpoint, I know this player left because he was just being a baby, and this player left because he had a legitimate reason. Like, it's hard to differentiate between the two because we don't know what goes on behind the scenes. In a lot of cases, it's just, hey, here's a graphic, I'm leaving, and you don't really know why. So that was something that you just got to take into consideration. But overall, I still believe that the players that have left Arkansas in most cases, Razorback basketball, most cases it's been because they were asked to. In fact, almost all cases, I believe they were asked to. But this year, I don't know if they were necessarily asked to. Not all of them. Maybe some of them that were wanting to stay, and Arkansas wanted to stay, and they didn't. So that could be a big factor in it too. But Jonathan says, what's the deal with Muscleman flirting with openings every offseason? Here's the thing. I don't know if that, it's the same thing with the Bobby Petrino angle. Like, those of you who remember the Bobby Petrino deal where he was at Arkansas, and every year his name was always tied to a job. Every year, offseason, tied to a job. Because it's like, oh, we can go get him. He's at Arkansas. We can go get him. And then he ended up signing a massive contract with a $16 million buyout that said, hey, I'm not going anywhere. This is where I want to be. But every single year it seemed like it popped up. I don't blame Eric Muscleman for that stuff happening. That's not his fault all the time. Now, if he's putting it out there and he's flirting with it and he's making it happen, then okay. That's different. But a lot of cases, these coaches don't have any control on what their names come out as. Sometimes it's even their agents. Man, think about Jimmy Sexton. How many jobs has he floated out there that were true or untrue or getting rumored and just to get an extension and getting a raise and a contract and all that? It's happened a lot on that front. But I don't know. I don't think that it's Muscleman flirting with jobs all the time. It's just not the case. William says that Arkansas had to clean house start over. No, I don't think they fully have to clean house. They got to start over in a lot of ways, but I don't think they have to fully clean house. Stroud, hey, welcome to the deal. Is NIL the problem with the basketball program? No. I think Muss wants more NIL. Again, everybody wants more NIL. But the problems with this past season had nothing to do with NIL. Because you got to think of it in the perspective, too, folks, of say if there's these big companies, I won't name names, but you can probably assume who I'm referring to, that we'll just throw a number out there. Say if Arkansas has $2.5 million in a year to spend on NIL, which is quite a bit, comparatively speaking, across college basketball. And say one of these big companies gives $1 million. That's a lot of money. I know you think that, everybody can just print money and throw it out there, and it's still $1 million is $1 million. And these big businesses with these very intelligent and very smart people that are running these businesses, they didn't get to where they're at by making dumb financial decisions. They're very smart, and they're very careful with their money. But when these companies and these people are saying, all right, well, here's $1 million. You said you need it. Here you go. All right, trust us. They put it together, make it work, and then you get a 16 and 17 season. Suddenly those people, those companies are like, who gave $1 million, are like, hey, wait a minute, dude. Like, I gave you $1 million, and this is the product that I'm getting? My man, you've been coming to me. You've been asking for this money. I gave you the money. I gave you a lot of money. I gave you 7 figures. And this is the product I'm getting? Why would I want to donate another $1 million to you the next year if this is the type of product that we're going to get? But then on the other side of it, there could be these big businesses that put together all this money and these funding, and they get enough, but then it's like, hey, we keep losing out on these players. We keep losing out because other places are paying them more, and it becomes a problem. And then the coach is like, well, I mean, $2.5 million is great, but I'm going to need more. And then there's another job over here starts opening up, and they're like, hey, we'll promise you $3.5 million a year. You can do a lot with $1 million. That suddenly looks a lot more appetizing. But it's just, there's a lot of ins and outs to this whole thing. It's a battle to it. But I look at it also from the business perspective. It's like, if I was a business owner and I was one of these big companies and I was donating a crap ton of money to the NIL, on a year basis, like a 7-figure deal, and I ain't getting the results, I'm going to be upset. Just going to be honest. I'm going to be pissed. Because that's not return of investment. Like, that's not, I put in $1 million now, and then I'm going to get $2 million next year because I invested in it. Like, that's not how, this is just money. It's like, go win games for my favorite team. I'm sure there's incentives that come along with it. But it's not like it's just, $1 million, and I'll get paid twofold next season. Like, this is money they're giving, the goodness of their heart. They want results. And you know what? I would want results. Wouldn't you want results, folks? Like, say if you had the ability to give $1 million, say if you were making, we'll just throw a number out. Say if you're making $2 million a year and you gave $1 million in a year to your favorite Razorback athletic program for NIL, and you had a losing season, would you not be upset to be like, dude, what's the problem here? Because again, we're not talking about just a simple national championship every year, especially on the football side of things. Like football, this team was not talented enough to win a national championship. 100% true. But they were talented enough to go 7-5, 8-4, and they didn't. And this basketball team, again, I don't care what any of y'all say, this team was good enough, talented enough to make a run, to at least be in the NCAA tournament. Because once again, there was a reason why these college basketball experts had Arkansas winning a national championship this year. There's a reason why they preseason picked them. There was a reason why, even if they didn't have them winning a national championship, there was a lot of them that had Final Fours tapped with this team. Winning the SEC with this team. I think Arkansas was actually ended up picked to finish third, I believe, third or fourth in the SEC. So all the talent was there. The experts, the people that know a lot more than me and you, knew something about Arkansas, and I don't think it was just like, well, this team looks good. They have a great smile. I like the way they look in jerseys. There's a reason why these people chose Arkansas to be a team and a program to have a big season. There's a reason why. So just take that into consideration and think about that. Think about that. All right. We're going to keep it moving here, folks. I know we've been a lot of basketball talk, but we're going to have Tyler Spoon joining us here in just a second. And we'll have talking with Tyler as Razorback baseball gets rolling tonight, and which will be an interesting matchup against Auburn. But first, I got to tell you about Autograph here, one of our great sponsors here at Natty State Sports. Tom Brady was one of the greats, all-time great, the GOAT, if you would, of all things football. And he co-founded Autograph with one mission in mind: to change the fan experience for the better. And is the Autograph app. Fandom rewarded app that allows devoted fans to unlock the most memorable experiences and rewards for great outcomes. all you got to do is just check out all the best content that they put into place. You can read articles from your favorite team's blogs, like Arkansas, which sure right now it's popping off. But you can check out those. You can also see how you stack up against other fans of your team. And they have team leaderboards. And you can level up in status and unlock unique rewards and unlock the most flex-worthy rewards curated exclusively just for you. Claim achievement trophies as you grow your fandom. And all these rewards can be turned in for some other great rewards that you can have personally. And they have all different ones to choose from. So download the Autograph app and start getting rewarded for all the things you already do as a fan, like reading the news, listening and watching college basketball coverage, and attending events. It's that simple. So download the app there in the App Store, the Autograph app, or you can go to the link of link.ag.fan/natty. But either way, when you download the app, be sure to use that promo code Natty, N-A-T-T-Y, Natty. Use that code. I promise you won't be disappointed. Start leveling up with the Autograph app, official sponsor of us here at Natty State Sports. We'll take a break and come back, and we'll have Tyler Spoon, former Razorback baseball player, joining us. You won't want to miss it, so stay tuned here on the John Nabors Show.
We not done yet either. So don't be satisfied because we not done.
I mean, honestly, I don't really remember post-game. I guess I black out after games, winning and losing.
You missed it. You missed it. You missed it. Just tell me you missed it. I'm not going to go there with you, Dave. Why not?
And that will be the last question I answer with that hat on.
Oh, shoot.
That is why Arkansas is fantastic.
Yes, sir.
You know, and I didn't like the game, but I'm glad I was able to walk off the floor again and deep inside and have that funny feeling that, hey, one more time, Horn.
Best guys, I know it's a tough time for you. The coach is gone, but you got a new coach now, and you got to listen to what he says. Okay, I know you're thinking, oh, who is this new guy? Where's the other guy that crashed the motorcycle? We like him better. He was cool or whatever. Forget about all that. Listen to the new coach and get out there and win some games.
Oh,
Brother, this guy stinks!
you guys act like it's... Pick it up a little bit. Okay? Get your chin up. Smile. Smile. Okay? Dang, you guys, all right? If not, I'm not talking.
Big Red, so excited. Big Red. Oh.
Guys, I've got just one thing I want to say to you. Touchdown, Arkansas!
I was a teacher today. Told those boys, welcome to the SEC.
Well, Fayetteville is 1,843 miles away, but the call of the Hogs can be heard all the way to San Francisco.
Well, stick my dick in the mashed potatoes. Go Hogs.
Powered by Arkansas, for Arkansas.
Every time you put a mic in my face, I'm going to say Arkansas.
The John Nabors Show is live from the Natty State Sports Studios.
All right, welcome back into the John Nabors Show here live from Natty State Sports Studios. Appreciate each and every one of you listening in and watching in on this beautiful day here in the great state of Arkansas. As I know, we've been talking a lot of basketball, and it's been on the forefront of a lot of people's minds. I get it, I understand it, and I appreciate each and every one of you watching in and listening in. And we'll continue to talk about that, don't worry, because I know that there'll probably be some updates by the time the show gets closer to coming to an end. But I want to remind everybody that for all of your basketball updates, and always the greatest and best information, you can go to NattyStateSports.com. You can also check out Pod at the Palace. Curtis and Scotty are putting one out each and every day. So they'll keep you updated. And also follow them on social media, as they'll be on top of it for all of your updates there. But still, Tyler Spoon, we got to talk some baseball with him, thanks to the Bank of Fayetteville. So let's go ahead and hear from Tyler as Arkansas is rolling as the #1 team in the country. Take a listen. Right now, we're joined by a very special guest each and every week to talk a little Razorback baseball as they were taking care of business against Missouri in their SEC opener in Baum-Walker, but they go on the road to take on the Auburn Tigers there in Auburn on a Thursday, Friday, Saturday series. So who better to talk more about it than our very special guest and former Razorback Tyler Spoon, thanks to the Bank of Fayetteville here in downtown Fayetteville. And Tyler, as always, man, appreciate you joining us. How you doing?
I'm good, John. How we doing this week?
Well, it's great because Arkansas has won a lot of games in a row, which is nice. They're the #1 team in the country, which is nice. They took care of business against the Missouri team like they should have, which was nice. So let's start there with Missouri. you sweep them, which is great, but you were this close to holding them to 0 runs the entire weekend. A lot of things to break down, but just how impressed were you by that performance by the Razorbacks?
Yeah, super impressive. I mean, the staff continues to get better and better each week, it seems like. And, yeah, that's a bad Mizzou team. Let's just say they were bad. They were bad. They were not good. But we did exactly what we were supposed to do. So, very impressive. Hagan obviously just did his thing. Tigert, Molina, I mean, just another day at the office. So we'll have a real test this week against Auburn. That'll be tough. Auburn is coming off a sweep, or they got swept at Vandy.
Yeah.
Hard to play a team when they just got swept, and they're fighting for their first SEC win. So it's we got to make sure we show up and take care of business, and find a way to win too. That's it.
Yeah, I was thinking about that, which we'll talk about Auburn, but with the Missouri side of it, yeah, they are a bad baseball team. They're not good, and Arkansas did what they were supposed to do against them. But this long stretch that Arkansas's had at home, and the fact that they've won every game in this home stretch, is that something to where, I mean, does that impact anything? Does it impact how the team approaches things, or just is it kind of like, hey, it's just part of the course and part of what they're going to be doing, so you just got to work your way through it?
Yeah, it's and there's a purpose behind playing a lot of games, especially in a row right before SEC play. You just you hope that the hope is you play 12 to 15 games or 10 to 15, whatever the number is, at home. Just gain some momentum going into SEC play where you win 11 out of 15, you win 12, 13, 14 out of 15, or win all of them. And that's the goal. That you just want to have that momentum going into SEC play. Again, a lot of stuff is by design, on purpose. So they just did a really good job, just taking care of business every day. So I'm looking forward to this next week, seeing how this goes.
Well, I'm also looking forward to not only the bounce back of it, but also continuing to see this team develop. And on the pitching side of things, we'll get to the offense because I think that made some tremendous strides. But then on the defense, you still got great pitching, and you really didn't have to use some of your bullpen guys that much at all this past weekend. Now, they got some run there. I think Gabe Yackel was one of the ones that didn't get a lot of run. But how huge is that for SEC play, at least, just getting a weekend to where you can get not only your starters having good performances, but get your bullpen guys and some of your closers as much rest as humanly possible?
Yeah, it's a little built-in rest right in the middle of the season. Start of SEC play is nice, and you definitely don't want to get those guys out of rhythm. You want to at least try to get them out there a little bit, or just get them in the bullpen throwing like they're about to come in or something. But just really good for our starters to take care of business, and the guys that came in just making sure they took care of business. And again, they just threw strikes, pounded the zone, and really did what we were just supposed to do. So it was really good to see that, and I think hopefully this next weekend is going to be all hands on deck. And so having that week where your Gackles and your McIntyre threw a little bit, but Gage Wood, whoever it is, that they're ready to go and they're fresh for this next weekend.
How did you feel just about the overall? I mean, again, there's a lot of things we can dive into, but the overall offense, because you try not to. I keep saying Missouri's a bad team, but it's like you try not to too much into it because you did what you were supposed to do. But it certainly feels like the offense is starting to get some things going. You're starting to get guys not only on base, but get them in scoring position. I mean, Peyton Stovall's been great ever since he's been back too. But just how do you feel like the offense is continuing to develop, not only on getting on base, but also bringing those guys in when they do get on base? Yeah,
they've done a really good job. And like you said, the opportunities were there early in the season when we weren't scoring, but we just didn't have the guys that, no one, it didn't seem like anybody felt comfortable. And so I think you're starting to see guys like your Souzas and, obviously Stovall coming back, Aloy, a lot of the newer faces that maybe are getting over those jitters and those nerves, and they're starting to finally find themselves in the box and get to that comfort zone, which is, it's what you try to get to. So you're starting to see better swings. Everything overall just looks a lot better. And I think a lot of it too, like we talked about, is Stovall coming back in the lineup and just having that veteran presence and that 1-2 punch of Stovall and Diggs back to back. That's really lethal to have, and it kind of sets the tone for the rest of the offense. Two guys that have been there, done that, and just take really good swings and are really aggressive and do a lot of damage. So we've done a really good job. I think a lot of it just attributes to the guys just finally settling down, getting over the playing in front of 8,000 people every week kind of deal, and just understanding, okay, it's still the same game, and I feel a lot better and you feel like I can execute my game plan.
Speaking with former Razorback Tyler Spoon here on the John Nabors Show, thanks to the Bank of Fayetteville here in downtown Fayetteville. Now, Tyler, I know that with the offense starting to come around, I thought it was so fascinating to see the lineup change kind of as much as it did over the weekend. And me and Andrew Ellis were talking about this. It's one thing if you're losing games and you're doing lineup changes because it means you're trying to figure things out. But when you're winning, there's a lot of ways you could look into it. But I look at it as if you're winning and you're still doing lineup changes in SEC play, it shows because you still have so much talent. You still have so many guys, and you're just trying to see who can find their way to separate themselves from the other high-quality players that they're on this team.
Yeah, for sure. And it's kind of segmented too, where at first you're trying to figure out who the guys are. You're trying to figure out, okay, who can do this, and then you get to the point where DVH loves, if he can, if you have a lefty on the bump, he wants to throw a bunch of righties in there. So whatever the situation is, you get a righty on the mound, you can throw a lot of lefties in there, but he wants to find those guys, and if it's kind of even across the board, he still wants to, if you get a lefty on the bump, he wants to have a heavy right-handed hitter lineup to where, he feels better about the righties hitting against the lefty. And it may be a deal where it could just be information where, a lefty is, guys are hitting 280 off of him. Right-handed hitters are hitting 280 off of him. And it's like, hey, we got to load the lineup with righties. So, there's, it's starting to get to that point where you probably know, you kind of have an idea who the guys are they're producing and are going to be consistent. And so now it's more or less, okay, let's put the guys in I feel good with against, the data, what it's saying or whatever it is. And so he's going to tinker around with stuff, and there's going to be weekends where, maybe we're playing LSU and on Saturday and you get a lefty or whoever throws for him. And it's like, well, it's all nothing but righties. Well, maybe the guy just can't pitch to righties. So you'll see some of that here and there, but DVH again just knows the game so well, understands it, studies, and just, he always has a really good game plan.
You talked about, I think it was last time we were discussing it about looking for the guy to be the hitter, the guy to go out there, the Benintendi, which, it'd be great if you had a Benintendi on this team,
yes,
but still, you still got some good guys. But it's still early, but after this weekend, do you feel like anybody is still working towards that? I know Stovall's in the mix, Diggs is in the mix, maybe Aloy can finally get to that point, but do you feel like anybody's kind of moved closer to being that type of guy they need right now?
Yeah, to me, it's Stovall, and I think a lot of it is he just looks like he has the most confidence of anybody up there, and it's, confidence is very contagious, especially offensively, and guys swinging the bat, hitting the ball hard, and he's doing that, and I think, again, as he continues to get more comfortable coming back from injury, again, he's looked comfortable already, but, having that 1-2 punch of Stovall and Diggs is just, again, the two veteran guys that just have been there, done that is very, very valuable, and so, but I think at the same time, Aloy, when he reaches full potential, could be just the most dangerous hitter in the country. It's all in there. So we've got good options. Even McLaughlin's a guy that, you look up and sneaky, he's, 8 for 10 or whatever it is with 2 or 3 homers. And so we've got really good, and obviously Diggs is just so consistent. It's like, I think we're kind of numb to how good Diggs is and how much he hits, how well he hits and how much he gets on base. So, we've got good options. I think things are finally piecing together to where, the lineup is, especially the top half is really, really, really good.
Now, I know that Arkansas is playing Auburn this weekend, top 25 team, and everybody in the SEC is going to be good, but you mentioned them coming off of a sweep, and they're going to be, motivated to take on a number 1 team coming into their house. But what do you make of going up against a team like Auburn, but also going from a Friday, Saturday, Sunday series to a Thursday, Friday, Saturday? Does that impact the team at all when it comes to a, quote, quicker turnaround?
It's definitely, I wouldn't say it's tough, but Auburn is a very, very good team. And, they did get swept at Vandy, but Vandy is playing really, really good baseball right now. Like, maybe the hottest team in the country. They're very, very good. So we've got to show up and take care of business. I don't know if the rotation is going to stay the same. I would assume it probably would, have Hagen on Thursday. But yeah, it's going to be an Auburn team that's again, they're very good, but they're going to be scrapping for their life. They've got to have at least, in their mind, they've got to win the series. They have to. So it's going to be all hands on deck. And, that quick turnaround sometimes can be, maybe it throws you out of rhythm, but I always loved it. I love Thursday, Friday, Saturday series, especially when you don't have a midweek game and you're like, okay, I'm fresh. I got a little bit, one extra day of rest in there. So you're ready to go by that time and you're looking forward to, hey, I actually have a Sunday off, So, yeah, it's on the road, quick turnaround, definitely can be challenging, I think, but again, I think we have a really good team, and I think we'll be up for the task because Auburn will not hold back, and they will do everything they can to win too.
I know you did play at Auburn, but like, is there anything that stood out to you when you went on the road when you were playing? Like whether it's their stadium or just the game itself? When you
at
played?
Auburn, you mean?
Yeah, at Auburn, yeah.
Yeah, no, so our game was Auburn was kind of one of the turnaround for our the turnaround series for our 2015 team. We were down. I think we lost game 1, and then we were down in game 2 and scrapped back and won, and then I think we kind of exploded in game 3. I may be completely wrong, but I just remember that it was a very tough series, and they were up at some point pretty big, and we came back and won, and kind of gave us some momentum going forward after that. But it's Auburn at Auburn is tough, and when they're good, the fans are rowdy. They're they chirp you a lot, so it's going to be a tough environment. And again, Arkansas, number 1 coming to town, it's probably going to be rowdy regardless. So it's going to be a tough task. And that ballpark, you get the monster and left.
Oh yeah.
And, so it's a little bit of a different look, but nonetheless, it's an SEC stadium. It's going to be fun. It's going to be loud. It's going to be packed. So it'll be a good one this weekend, I think.
I always wonder, like, I know Auburn, I think, made the World Series the same year Arkansas did in 2022. Yeah. I believe Arkansas took care of business and smoked them. But I've just always wondered with the SEC teams especially, it feels like Auburn and Alabama just have, like, you've seen LSU get it going. You've seen, the Ole Miss, Mississippi State. But I don't always wonder why Alabama and Auburn were two schools that I know care about their sports and everything, why they just never really found themselves in the same kind of level as some of these other SEC West teams and baseball programs.
Yeah, Auburn has come, lately Auburn has definitely come around. I think Butch Thompson's done a really, really good job, but you're right. Before 2022, it was like they were always pretty good and then just never could do anything in the tournament. But I think Alabama just cares more about football than anything, so that's just the bottom line, which, hey, it paid off for them. Good for, good for them. It's you can't, if you're an Alabama fan, you can't be upset about the baseball team. You have no right to. So, but yeah, it's a good question. You would think recruiting at the University of Alabama for baseball, especially, would be very, very easy. You just bring them to a football game where they play a top 10 matchup and beat them by 20, and everyone gets to go nuts. So, but yeah, it is a mystery, But Auburn, I think, has found the right guy. Alabama, when I think about coaches in the SEC over the last 20 years and good coaches, not one Alabama coach comes to mind. So it's like, I just don't. Maybe they just haven't found the right guy yet. So you got to think, and again, I think a lot of that has to do with they're going to be paying way more money and doing a lot more investment with football, and maybe they just weren't really focused on finding a big time splash hire for baseball, but. Nonetheless, I think their guy they have now seems to be pretty good, and they're playing some good baseball this year. So, I think once they find the right guy, Alabama's it's a good spot to be as a baseball player. There's a lot around there. Yeah,
I was always wondering too about the facilities and the stadiums and all that. And I know probably some of them have changed since you were playing at a lot of them. But was there a SEC stadium that you went into and you're just like, man, this one's rough? I know Phil Elson's talked about Missouri, but
Missouri is always the first. It's funny. I talked about that last week. I'm like, Missouri's rough. Yeah. It was,
which is unfortunate because they've had, like the connections with baseball. They had Matt Hobbs and then Tony Vitello. Like, I feel like they would have
Max
a little bit
Scherzer,
more.
Ian Kinsler. You have some of the best big leaguers in the last 20 years from Mizzou, and so again, that it's interesting. It felt like a high school stadium. To be honest with you, just shoot you straight, but. Another one that was shocking to me when we went was Florida, which obviously they've done renovations and stuff, but Florida's Florida. It's like top 5 program in the country. And so my first time to Gainesville, I'm expecting, okay, 1, this is going to be rowdy, but 2, this is going to be an unbelievable place. And it was dead silent. It was like the fans were non-existent there. It was weird. It was weird. And the stadium was just terrible. And I was like, this is not what I anticipated coming to Florida. So, but yeah, those were the 2 that really stick out to me. Kentucky was pretty good. It was pretty new when we, got there, but it still was kind of behind the rest. But everyone else is kind of up at that same level of really, really good baseball stadiums.
Well, it's funny you brought up Florida because I had the same conversation with somebody, and I wish I could remember who it was, about their basketball facility. They played at Florida back in the early 2010s, and they're like, oh man, about this team that just won back-to-back national championships in basketball and was a constant like Elite Eight team. And it was like they shared it with the pool, like the swim team, and like they just smelled the chlorine. And so it's just funny how you see that in different sports, especially in the SEC, that you're like, oh, they're elite, they're really good. Yeah. Doesn't always mean that people care as much, which makes, I always say, Arkansas very unique, because if you win and you're successful, they'll support it and you'll get the facilities. But there's a lot of places that even if you're good, even if you're perennial, even if you're getting it going, it's still not enough for people to really invest into it and to invest the facilities into it as well.
Yeah, people may not realize, like, again, I've seen every SEC facility, and I know some of them have done updates and renovations in the last 10 years, but Arkansas has, it's got to be top 2 or 3, maybe even number 1, like facility-wise.
I think so, yeah.
We're not lacking in anything compared to your Alabama, your Tennessee, your Georgia. Like, there's not a lot we're lacking. I promise you that. The facilities are second to none when it comes to, football, basketball, baseball, especially. It's about as good as it gets. So, yeah, it's one of those things. You would think that every SEC school is going to be top tier like Arkansas, but there's a lot that are just behind the 8 ball, and Arkansas has really been at the forefront of things. So fans need to understand, it's not what we have here is very, very nice.
Yes, yeah.
So,
and also with baseball too, it helps back when they built Baum that it was far enough away from campus where you weren't landlocked.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like there was, I guess, George Cole Field back in the day. It was right there where the parking lot to the Hyper is, or now I think it's the practice facility. It's hard to keep up, but it's amazing to see that was not to say that was their initial vision, but how it's really worked out for baseball and being able to expand and being able to have, more suites and more seating in the hog pen and everything, because that's, I feel like, what can really help or hurt a lot of these other schools is if their campus is right here and they got their basketball arena or football stadium right in the middle, can't really go anywhere. So it's really benefited baseball too, having it out there, I think.
Yeah, it has. I mean, baseball, very, a lot of foresight whenever they developed, Baum came into the picture and, just saw an outlook for the future. And, Norm DeBryan obviously was doing a phenomenal job and just had a vision. And then DVH came along and had a bigger vision, and, it is what it is now. Yeah. I mean, it's, again, as far as especially baseball, it's the nicest place in the country. I promise you. It's SEC, all over the country, any school, you name it. The facilities itself, field, stadium, all of it combined, there's nothing better.
You mentioned Norm DeBryan. Did you ever have any? I know you've known him, but as far as him being involved in baseball when you were there, what was that like with him? Because I know obviously how much Dave Van Horn respects him, but as a player, was he around a lot? Was he somebody you got to talk to a lot when you were playing?
I wouldn't say he was around a lot, but he definitely would come around and come to practices, sit behind the cage, watch us take BP, and was always very talkative, loved talking to the players, and so you can tell just a guy that loves ball. And that was cool though, because me growing up just as a little kid, I remember Coach DeBryan and all the good teams he had, and coming to the stadium when it was really, really new. So, but yeah, all these things. Norm DeBryan is, again, some of my first memories of Arkansas baseball, so it was pretty surreal for me just to see him and watch him, interact with us, and just be a normal guy, loves ball. And so, yeah, it was cool. He was really good about coming around, here and there, and just saying hi, and really good about interacting with us.
I just laugh too, because you think about all the sports that have been around for a long time and Arkansas being successful at them. It's like baseball. You've had 2 coaches.
Yeah,
that's it. You've always had 2 coaches, and both of them been highly successful. And I don't know whenever Dave decides to hang it up, and hopefully it comes with a National Championship College World Series along with it too. But it's almost going to be so crazy to think that how many programs, not only in sports in general, because I think baseball for Arkansas started in 1970, something like that. But I think it just shows you the stability of where not only do you have a head coach and Norm DeBryan doing it, but then kind of his predecessor, if you will, and kind of his guy that he mentored, Dave Van Horn. I mean, this is a culture and this is a program that's been established and feeling the same way since the beginning of time. And I feel like that's why, as long as you continue to, build upon that, it's going to be something that's always going to make Razorback baseball great.
Yeah, and again, it just comes down to, when we've had success. So when you win, you get that. You get to ask for things that probably you don't get to normally ask for. But again, DVH just has had so much good foresight and just thinking ahead, of facilities, recruiting, everything across the board. It's just been, top notch, and he's just been ahead of the curve and ahead of the game across the SEC. And hopefully, you would hope he could just stay the same age for 30 years until he finally got one. But you really want to think that guy's going to get one at some point. He deserves it. He deserves it. Him and think of the 2 coaches, or him and Mike Martin. Mike never got one, but you would think DVH is going to have a couple more opportunities at least. So
maybe this year,
hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully it could absolutely be this year. I know you're an SEC baseball guy. It was interesting. I didn't hate it seeing LSU lose a series in the opening and see Tennessee lose their series in the opening, but I feel like that's also something fans can, celebrate a little bit. Also understand, hey, doesn't mean a dadgum thing like right now. But it is kind of, again, because of the SEC race and because of what it means to the regular season and everything, that's going to be pretty crucial to see how it all plays out, where even these good teams, hey, they may have had a tough go in the first series, but doesn't mean they can't catch fire at the right time too.
Yeah, it feels a little bit more like normal SEC baseball, where it's like everyone's going to beat up on everyone, and no one's the top dog, until you look up and whoever's got the best record. It's a dogfight every single week, especially the SEC West. I mean, your worst team. I'm trying to think. Is there anybody not ranked in the SEC West?
I'd have to look at the rankings.
I don't think so. You got A&M's top 10, us, LSU, Auburn, Alabama, both ranked. I think Auburn may still be ranked. I don't know if they still are.
I think they're 23rd.
Okay,
and then depending on who you look at, though.
Ole Miss may be the only one, but they're like borderline. And then Mississippi State was ranked this week, so everyone's a ranked top 25 team. So it's the gauntlet. The gauntlet of the SEC West is back, and so it hadn't been like that the last few years. But it's a couple of things are a little different. Where Arkansas is the top dog, so hopefully we can keep that mentality and keep it going. But you should anything can happen. When Mississippi State's rolling, it is hard to beat those guys in Starkville. So, but that's a program that, as a baseball fan, you want to see the Mississippi State be good. It's been hard to watch a Mississippi State game the last few years last couple of years. They've been really bad, and it's like, this is not Mississippi State.
Make sense.
This is not. I don't like this one bit. I like the tough Mississippi State team that just grinds it out and is really good and could beat literally anybody on their home turf at any point. So it's good to see them back and in that really, really good stage where they could potentially have a chance to compete for a championship, national championship, because it's good for the SEC and just the game as a whole, I think. So
I know you were on a number 1 ranked team for a time, and do you feel like there's an extra target on your back though? I mean, because even if is there a difference between like number 1 and number 2? Because I feel like anytime you have that 1 next to you, no matter what, there's always it's motivation to beat Arkansas, but that number 1 ranking I think also puts an extra target on your back too.
Oh, it does for sure. And a lot of times, especially as a player, again, DVH does such a really good job of just like keeping you level-headed. But sometimes, when you are ranked number 1 and you lose that game or you lose that series, it's like, I can't remember who it was, if it was Appalachian State or who it was when we were ranked number 1 to start the year. I think it was a 4-game set, and they beat us on the last day. And it was like they were throwing a party, take a picture on the field, and it was like, that's what it means to some people, or just coming in and, team beats us, takes a series from us, whether it's home, away, and they're all fired up and going nuts. And you're like, dang, all right. So there's definitely a big target on your back. You look at it and look back at those times and you're like, okay, that people wanted that one more than a lot of others they have. So there's always the target on the top dog's back.
But I kind of love that though, because it's a sign of respect in a way.
It's
like, oh man, they thought this much of you when they did get one against you. The celebration came out there and out of the woodwork too, but that's where the number 1 ranking is also a nerve-wracking thing for fans, at least. Maybe not necessarily as much for players, because I'm sure that they're focused on other things, but just knowing that it's like, you're going to get everyone's best shot. And even next week, and that's kind of where I wanted to lead you into, is say if Arkansas takes care of business against Auburn this weekend, then they have a midweek game next week. I believe it's against UALR. And then they have LSU Thursday, Friday. So this is a little bit different now where you have that midweek. So how does that change the dynamic of a team and of the schedule when you travel? And I know it's an earlier series, so you have at least an extra day, but travel, come back midweek on Tuesday, and then boom, there on Thursday, you're playing LSU.
Yeah, fortunately, at least it's going to be like a normal schedule for the guys where, you're basically, is it a Tuesday game or a Wednesday game? Do you know?
I believe it's a Tuesday game.
Okay, at least so that's a good thing. As long as it's a Tuesday game where you at least get a day between those games, and your guys are still going to get the same amount of rest throughout that week. So hopefully that we can show up. And LSU is at home, right?
Oh yeah, it's at home.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So that'll be the good thing. Being home, at LSU, it's gonna be nuts. It's gonna be 10,000 plus 11,000 every week or every day.
Yeah, because I was looking at the Little Rock game too. It's a 6:30 at night game, so it's not even a midweek game.
You might see a lot of freshmen in that game. Depending on the feel, and just say, hey, let's just throw out the younger guys, get them some at bats, and get them some pitches, whatever it is. So. Could be one of those deals. Yeah. So
I have a feeling that Dave Inhorn's probably going to know what he's doing, and he's probably going to make sure that his team is 100% ready to play LSU.
Yes. Yeah. Never not focused on a team and not trying to win, but also understand the importance of that LSU series.
Yeah, because it is crucial. Some non-baseball stuff. You fill out a bracket already in March Madness a little bit, a little action there.
Tinkered.
Tinkered?
I've tinkered,
You
yes.
tinkered with it?
So I've got Purdue getting over the hump this year.
You got Purdue?
them.
Okay.
I got them. I know it's the surefire. Don't pick these guys because they always choke. But I'm like,
listen, we were talking about it earlier today. Virginia was a 1 seed, and they were the first ones to lose to a 16. And then the next year, won the national title.
I'm just saying
maybe that could happen with Purdue.
I think
this year.
Purdue. They've got a lot of the same guys back.
Yeah, they do.
You know,
a lot of experience.
You get over that first game hump. They're just a solid. You know, obviously UConn. You know, they're unbelievable. So, but I feel like it's never the unbelievable team that wins it. You know, again, except UConn last year. But I think Purdue's got. I think they're my guys this year. I think I'm going with them, and it's ride or die. You just stick with it and roll with it.
Do you know your Final Four off the top of your head of who you picked?
I've got Purdue.
Okay.
I've got Auburn. I hate to say it, but yeah, I've got Auburn.
Was that because you think of that they're that good, or just when you went matchup by matchup, you liked them in those?
I think they're playing some of the best basketball right now.
Okay.
I think they've been
playing
playing better than a lot of teams at the moment. So I think they started off really slow the first half, and then they turned it on. So,
well, they also, fun stat for anybody that cares, they every game that they've won this year has been by double digits. Every win they've had this year has been by double digits. Yeah.
Wow.
Which is pretty crazy.
That is wild.
Yeah.
Houston.
Okay. I mean,
get Houston, and then I'm trying to think of the other.
It was North Carolina region.
No, I had them losing, I think. Okay. So it was another team that wasn't.
Arizona?
Yes, it was. It was Arizona. That's exactly who it was. So,
okay, all right.
Yeah,
it's not bad. I ain't gonna hate on that.
Yeah, it's the Auburn was a risk, but I think they're just playing really good basketball right now. I think so. I take the hot team. That's always my theory with basketball and baseball, especially.
I just don't want to see Auburn there.
I don't either. I don't want to see it.
I'd rather see. Again, this is what's crazy. I'd rather see Kentucky there. I'd rather see Tennessee there.
Yeah.
But Alabama, Auburn. Actually, I'd rather see South Carolina there. But like them and A&M. I do not want to see either of those three teams in the Final Four, which I don't think A&M's going to make it. I don't think Bama's going to make it because they can score, but they can't guard anybody.
Yeah.
But you're right about Auburn, though. I mean, they're playing big. It's just I was looking at some things before as far as how often a team that wins the SEC tournament, like how they do, and very seldom do they ever make like a run in it. But maybe, again, Auburn. If they're playing their best basketball, that might be the kicker. So
yeah, Bruce Pearl's he's a good coach. I'll give him that.
He is.
And I'm the same way. I don't like seeing Auburn good. I don't like seeing Alabama good, but we'll see. It's probably a deal where UConn beats them by 30, and I just got that one wrong. But which wouldn't be surprising at all. But just went with the gut there.
That's fine.
I know, rolled the dice and.
So do you do multiple like pools in one bracket, or do you fill out multiple brackets?
I've only filled out one so far. And what I usually do is I wait until the playing games are done, and then I'm like, okay, let's dive in and let's pick this, pick these out and see what teams are in and all that stuff. Because you got Colorado State in a playoff game or playing game, and I'm like, this is a really good basketball team.
Yeah.
So they could make some, especially the first four in game. I feel like there's one team every year that wins it, and then they win 2 or 3 more, and it's like. Okay, could get interesting. So.
Yeah, especially with Virginia, like they were terrible last night. And it was just they had no chance at it. But yeah, also this is what I need your help with, and you can help out with this. We need to make the college baseball Field of 64 a thing, where people are filling out brackets. Like we need to make that a thing. It's a shame it's not.
Yeah.
And I know that it's not just one and dones. There's series and whatnot, double elimination. But there's got to be a way. To where even if it's just like, hey, in your regional, you just pick the team who wins the regional.
Yeah.
And go through it. Something like that. We need to make that a thing.
Yeah.
Like more so now.
I've seen one before, but I think it was like kind of a one and done. It just kind of went away, it seemed like. But, you would think there would be something like that. And, it's, again, baseball's crazy. So you never know. Baseball, you think March Madness is crazy. You start watching college baseball, and you're like, this makes no sense. Arkansas, just like Arkansas not having the best season of all time, and then losing Super Regional to a North Carolina State team that was very average for the whole year. So you just,
not to bring up bad memories, but it's like I think about that, and then last year, last year was different, but it's like think about the biggest and best Arkansas regular seasons that they've ever had. They didn't even make it to Omaha, and then it's the times where like 2 years ago,
like
they didn't even host, and then 2015, where. It's like they didn't have a great regular season, but they get it going. But that just shows the chaos of it. Yeah. So I don't know if you could call it June Madness. I don't know if that has the same thing to it. I don't know. We can figure out some sort of name.
There's got to be something out there we can
something with a J that sounds like craziness.
June,
I don't know. We'll work on that, though. We'll work on that. But yeah, man. So we'll appreciate you coming on as always, Tyler. And how's everything at Bank in Fayetteville? I know right now the weather's starting to get nice. It's beautiful out there today.
Mm-hmm.
So how's everything happening over there at Bank of Fayetteville?
Man, it's going well. You know, again, we're just trying to really focus on this community and the people in it. So especially this summer thing, things are going to get picked up, and a lot of you people that may watch, a lot of the financial situation in this country, rates are probably going to start falling. The Fed is probably going to start cutting rates. So that means in this area things are going to start happening and moving. So and again, we're trying to be at the front of that, want to help out people, whatever situation it might be financially, just across the board. If you have $1 billion or $2, we want to help you. So. But yeah, for us, again, we're focused on this Northwest Arkansas community, investing in it, investing in the people, and trying to help this place grow and be in a position, in a really good spot for the years to come, really.
Yeah. Well, hey, listen, we're looking forward to, I know the time of year where it gets warmer, time of year where bank business starts picking up, and also baseball, man, keeping it going. And SEC play is off to a good start for Arkansas, but let's hope it continues on. But that is former Razorback Tyler Spoon joining us here on the John Nabors Show. Thanks to Bank of Fayetteville. And Tyler, as always, appreciate you joining us, and we'll catch up with you next week.
All right. Sounds good, John.
We not done yet either. So don't be satisfied because we not done.
I mean, honestly, I don't really remember post game. I guess I black out after games, winning and losing.
You missed it. You missed it. You missed it. Just tell me you missed it. I'm not going to go there with you, Dave. Why not?
And that will be the last question I answer with that hat on.
Oh, shoot.
That is why Arkansas is fantastic.
Yes, sir.
And I didn't like the game, but I'm glad I was able to walk off the floor again and deep inside and have that funny feeling that, hey, one more time, Horns.
Best guys, I know it's a tough time for you. The coach is gone, but you got a new coach now, and you got to listen to what he says. Okay, I know you're thinking, oh, who is this new guy? Where's the other guy that crashed the motorcycle? We like him better. He was cool or whatever. Forget about all that. Listen to the new coach and get out there and win some games.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
You guys act like it's... Pick it up a little bit. Okay? Get your chin up. Smile. Smile. Okay? Dang, you guys all right? If not, I'm not talking.
Big Red, so excited. Big Red. Oh.
Guys, I've got just one thing I want to say to you. Touchdown, Arkansas!
I was a teacher today. Told those boys, welcome to the SEC.
Well, Fayetteville is 1,843 miles away, but the call of the Hogs can be heard all the way to San Francisco.
Well, stick my dick in the mashed potatoes. Go Hogs.
Powered by Arkansas, for Arkansas.
Every time you put a mic in my face, I'm going to say Arkansas.
The John Nabors Show is live from the Natty State Sports Studios.
All right, welcome back into the John Nabors Show here live from Natty State Sports Studios. Appreciate each and every one of you listening in and watching in here on this beautiful day in the great state of Arkansas. And really appreciate Tyler Spoon joining us in the previous segment, getting his thoughts and opinions on Razorback baseball, which will be starting up here in about 20 minutes. So really looking forward to checking that out and seeing if Arkansas can continue on this win streak and continue on with this dominance. But hey, road series are always tough, especially against a quality team like Auburn. I really hate the fact that they got swept. If they hadn't gotten swept in the previous weekend, I'd feel better about it, but you never know. Teams are going to be motivated, and you're always going to get teams' best shot whenever you're going to be facing off against them on the road, especially as they're coming off of a tough little deal there over against Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt's a good team, so there's no shame in it or anything like that, but still, we'll be checking that out, and we'll have plenty to talk about, I know, tomorrow on the show. And next week, folks, I know we're going to have a lot of new guests coming on the show, too. So keep on the lookout. But football spring practice will be starting back up. Who really knows where in the world this basketball team's going to be and this program's going to be overall. But should be a lot of fun no matter what. So be sure to follow Natty State Sports for all of those updates and all those things that's going to be happening here today. But before we continue on, because I know we got some more comments, but we'll also get into the Hey, did y'all see this segment? But I want to let everybody know that, of course, we are presented by Alumni Hall here in the state of Arkansas. Because, listen, anytime that you have so many great things happening with Razorback sports like you are right now, I mean, not so great. Maybe it's more about baseball. Baseball's been great. But you need to make sure that you got the latest and newest and nicest apparel from Alumni Hall, because they truly care about Arkansas fans. They truly care about being part of the Razorback program. And it's so much so that anytime that you go inside of their store here in Fayetteville, you're going to see just exactly how much they care about Razorbacks, because they have everything. And I mean everything. You walk in, they got stuff for the winter, stuff for the summer. They got stuff for men and women and kids and pets. They have the nicest of nice clothes, the polo shirts, the Peter Millar, the Columbia, the Nike. But they also have stuff just like T-shirts of comfort color shirts, Hawaiian shirts. They have it all, and especially the hats. So be sure to check it all out, as you're going to be seeing all the great things that they have. And you can also visit the website at nattystatesports.com/alumni hall. Just head to that website, because I know a lot of you, it's tough to make it over to Fayetteville and into that store. But the great thing about it is when you go to nattystatesports.com/alumni hall, you can purchase online from their store right there and have it delivered to your door. So that way, whenever you're coming up, maybe your next weekend for the big LSU series that's going to be happening, go ahead and go to that website at nattystatesports.com/alumni hall. Order your apparel now and have it delivered to your door. They make it easy on you. It's the ultimate Razorback shopping experience. So check them out today with Alumni Hall. All right. So, again, a lot of things that we've been talking about today. And, man, this has just been a wild day. A wild day for speculation, for sure. So some people are chiming in, like Steve just comes in. He's like, what is your perspective on the rumor of Muss leaving or Muss interviewing at SMU? Well, I talked about it in the very open of the show, but just to get back to it, because I know it's what's on everybody's mind right now. Again, I don't know where it's coming from. A lot of these times, it's whenever a name gets connected, it can mean so many different things. It can mean that the school, like SMU, leaked it out there that that's who they're trying to pursue. And, I'm just trying to say they have big names out there, and that's who they want. And, it's out of Muss's power. It's not like he can do anything about it if anyone's mentioning his name. But there also could be the case of Muss maybe actually being interested. I don't know. Muss does not have an agent, though. So you can't really say that that's where it's coming from. Like, oh, it's just his agent. Like, Muss doesn't have his agent. Muss is his own agent. Right now, at least. And so it's got to be one of two things. But it would be different if the reports were saying that, oh, it's Muss and he's actually interviewing at SMU. Like, that would be different. But at least at the latest of the reporting and where we're at right now, the timing of the show and all of that, it is certainly set to where it's like, well, it seems like it's more coming from SMU side. Because, again, the Brazillo story in the report that we saw was that they're targeting Eric Muscleman, Will Wade, and Lutz, the coach from Western Kentucky. Those are the ones that they're going big time after. So, again, that's just what I see now. Doesn't mean it's 100% true, but that's just my thoughts on it. But as I said before, and I'll say it again, if Eric Muscleman was to leave Arkansas for SMU, it would be the biggest disappointment, but also one of the most embarrassing moments you could have as a program. I am just being honest. And I don't think it's anybody's fault as far as fans' fault or Arkansas's fault. I don't think it'd be Yurichek's fault, but, we'd have to see what all actually came from it and what all was discussed and what all played a factor into it. Maybe that would end up being released. I don't know. I don't know what would happen from the communication side of things of how we would view it. But what I do know is that this is a time when Arkansas basketball fans could really use some sort of communication. Some sort of communication. Because I'll level with you, Razorback fans. You deserve, at minimum, to have a bone thrown your way. Like, there has not been communication on anything from the Razorback basketball program all year long. Like, none of us know why this team wasn't any good. I mean, seriously, none of us know why. We have theories. We could be, and maybe I should rephrase it. We don't know specifically. Like, we know the team did not fit. The team did not work. It was a team problem. But specifically, though, like, why didn't the team get along? Why didn't the team come together? It's not like Muss has had this issue before. He's never had this issue before as a head coach in college basketball. So why this year? What was it? Don't know. And then we get fed a lot of stuff, and then things change all the time, and then we hear things all the time. And it drives you mad. It drives you insane. But I don't know. I would really be starting to wonder if, again, playing the what if game. If Eric Muscleman reached out to SMU himself, if he wanted an interview with SMU, if that's what he wants, I'm trying to make sure that I keep saying if, because I don't know if it's true or not. But if that's what he's doing and that's what he wants, see ya. See ya. Because I don't want a coach here that doesn't want to be here. And if you are interviewing with SMU, that is the telltale sign that you don't want to be here. You don't want to be a part of this. You don't want to deal with it. So go. Go. Wish you nothing but the best, but go. That's the frustrating thing. It sounds cliche, but it's true. It's like I only want a coach that wants to be here at Arkansas. Of course I want the best coaches. We all want the best coaches. And, people always bring up of getting an Arkansas guy. Because if you get an Arkansas guy that means something more. And I say that's crap because it's like, I don't care where they're from. I don't care if they're an Arkansas guy or not. I just want to win. I want success. And some of, if not all, the most successful coaches in Arkansas sports history before they came to Arkansas had no Arkansas ties. I mean, Frank Broyles didn't. Eddie Sutton didn't. Nolan Richardson didn't. Eric Musselman didn't. Bobby Petrino didn't. It's not saying every coach has been that way because you've seen some connections. Lou Holtz was another one. Like, you just don't have to have an Arkansas guy. But I don't think it's too much to ask for whoever's here at Arkansas to not be constantly looking at other jobs. To not wanting interviews with other jobs. It's one thing if it's a blue blood program, like if Kansas or Kentucky or Duke or Carolina, somebody like that reached out and Muss interviewed, I'd say, man, that sucks. But I get it. Logically speaking, I'd get it. But dude, if there's actually things happening where he's trying to interview at places like this, like we're hearing about DePaul and with his SMU business. If that's the case, man, again, just go. Because that shows that you don't want to be here. For whatever reason. If you don't want to be here, don't be here. I don't want you here if you don't want to be here. It's the same thing in like this company at Natty State. We have a great group of guys and a great group of people that work here. But if I ever knew or if it ever was made clear that somebody just didn't want to be here, then it's like, then go. No hard feelings, but I don't want you here if you don't want to be here. No one needs to be held hostage. Nobody needs to be held against their will. No one needs to be forced to do a job or to do something that they don't want to do. It's a free country. Because there is nothing worse for a culture and for a program, for anything, in any walk of life. There is nothing worse than being forced to do something, to do a job that you don't want to do because you're never going to do a good job. Like, there's nobody in the history of sports that's ever not wanted to coach at a certain spot and not wanted to be at a certain place that was a highly successful coach. Doesn't mean they didn't win some games, doesn't mean they didn't have some small level success, but that's just not something I want. Arkansas deserves better than that. Arkansas fans don't deserve that. Here in the state of Arkansas, I look at it, at least from my perspective, I'm a fan. I mean, we all know that. Like, if you've followed me or watched me or been along for the ride, you know that I am a Razorback fan. I root for them. I want them to win. And usually when they win, it's a very exciting time for all of us. And it's not just because it's my favorite team, but this is my state. I want my state to do well. And the state of Arkansas and the Razorbacks are synonymous with one another. I want it to succeed. I never want to be biased towards a man. I want to be biased towards my school. I'm never going to defend a coach who's losing because I have a good relationship with them or I'm friends with them, because that doesn't matter. I want to win. And Arkansas is a place that has all the amenities and all the reasons to win at a high level in pretty much every sport. And they pretty much have in every sport. Fayetteville is a place I grew up in, and I love this city. You know, I was so excited to return home, and I love Little Rock. Don't get me wrong, but this is home. I love this city, and I love this area. There's a reason why this place is just growing rapidly is because it's a great place to be. But if you don't want to be here, I don't want you here. This isn't the armpit of the earth, like so many people try to make it out to be. And it always comes from people who have never even been here and don't know what we're capable of. Anybody that says that. This isn't some prison. This is Arkansas. This is the University of Arkansas up in here in Fayetteville. One of the best campuses, the most passionate fan base. And you're the only game in town. You are the biggest deal in this state. No pro teams, no other high-level college programs. You're it. So for anybody to feel like, as a coach here, that this is a stepping stone or that this is a burden or an embarrassment to be here, then I don't want you being here. And that goes for anybody. Now, say what you want about Sam Pittman, but this is where Sam Pittman wants to be. He didn't say all that stuff before just for the sake of saying it. Like, this is truly where he wants to be, and that means something. Now, say what you want about Bobby Petrino, but this guy wanted to be here, and that's why he came back. People who have those stories of staying at Arkansas and being at Arkansas, becoming Arkansas, they're beloved. As long as it's tied to success. But the idea that anyone would not want to be here, that's okay. But I just think that if you're someone who doesn't want to be here, then go. Go. So that's my thing about it. Like, I know I kind of went on a diatribe there. I think that's what the proper term is. But sometimes, you just need to hear that, and you kind of need to speak through it and kind of see the perspective of everything. You got to understand that it's like this is just a wild time in college athletics. It's the ever-changing deal of it all for over the past 3 years or so has just been hard to keep up with. Like, even for somebody like me who talks about it for a living, it's very hard to keep up with. There's a lot of things I don't know. There's a lot of things I'm learning about. There's a lot of things that I'm hoping to learn more about. But it is a thing to where I am always going to be someone who wants to be here. And I know that not everybody's that way, but I am. I want this state to be successful. I want Arkansas to be successful. I want the university to be successful. And I want the athletic department to be successful. So I guess we'll find out here over time exactly what's going on. And hopefully we have an idea in the coming days. But still, it's a wild time, man. It's a wild time. Let's see. We just got a couple minutes here. Few scores in the NCAA tournament. My bracket's shot to you-know-what, man. It sucks. I was done for in the first two games. Stupid Mississippi State, man. They just killed me. They killed me. Killed me. And BYU both. They both killed me today. But let's see. As of right now, got a few finals. Dayton was able to beat Nevada, which hurt me too because I had Nevada winning. 63-60. North Carolina smoked Wagner 90-62. Arizona smoked Long Beach State 85-65. Creighton smoked Akron 77-60. Been pretty chalk for the most part. Illinois beat Morehead State 85-69. Duquesne actually had an upset, which again killed me, with BYU. Oregon beat South Carolina, and luckily for me, I called that one. That was one of the ones I got. I did not believe South Carolina. I always believe in Dana Altman. That was the right move there. And then Michigan State just trounced Mississippi State. That was disgusting. That was terrible. Pathetic display. College basketball. But Colorado State and Texas have just tipped off. And as of right now, Texas scored 2 points 5 minutes into the game. It's 6-2, Colorado State leading, but wouldn't that be funny? See that game come down to it, and Texas ends up losing. Hate to see that. But got Oakland and Kentucky, McNeese, Gonzaga, South Dakota State, Iowa State, St. Peter's and Tennessee, NC State, Texas Tech, Samford and Kansas, and Drake and Washington State all happening today and tonight. And then tomorrow, we're going to have even more to talk about when it comes to all these games. We've been doing some live streams with our games too, so I know that those have been fun for the guys because we're going to be watching them anyways and watching these games. But so far, the NCAA tournament has not been very great to me, and it's unfortunate. But it's just the way it is right now. Just the way it is. Yeah, people keep asking about my thoughts on stuff. Hey, just go to the beginning of the stream, folks, and I'll show you can watch it and check it out there. I don't want to be too repetitive, but yeah, just go and check that out. A few quick things though, as we're about to close up shop here. This was a weird story. So Long Beach State, they fired their coach before their conference tournament, and then he ends up winning the conference tournament. His team does, and they go to the tournament, and it's kind of like this awkward thing. It's like, well, we fired you, but you went on a run. You made the tournament. How do you feel about that? Well, how about this? Long Beach State's AD credits himself for inspiring the team to make the NCAA tournament by firing Dan Monson. Like, it's pretty crazy. He said the timing of his decision to fire Dan Monson was done with the hope that it might trigger the exact run that led the team on its unexpected trip to the NCAA tournament. My belief and hope is that by doing what I did and the timing of it, they would play inspired. And that's what they did. I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, but it worked. My man, that's exactly what you're trying to do, is pat yourself on the back by saying this. If you there is no way that you in your mind are like, I'm going to fire this coach now. And my hope in the matter will be that this team becomes inspired and then they go on the run. There's my grand scheme all along. No, dude, you fired him because you wasn't any good. Because here's the thing. If they wouldn't have won the tournament, nobody would have thought anything wiser. They've been like, hey, it's the right move. I get it. But you firing the coach and then you literally are trying to pat yourself on the back. There's the only reason why you said what you said. You're like, my belief and my hope was that doing what I did and the timing of it, they would play inspired, and that's what they did. That's literally the definition of patting yourself on the back and giving yourself credit. That is literally the definition. So shut up. Anyways, that AD sucks. I hope the coach there, Dan Monson, I hope that he really has a great, I know they lost today, but still, I hope that he gets a great job after this. He deserves that. And that AD deserves to get trashed, just like he has been by so many people. Even the article there from Barstool Sports, but either way. Well, folks, that does it for me today. Appreciate each and every one of you listening in and watching into the John Nabors Show. Be sure to like and subscribe to the show on YouTube as well as on our podcast network. You can find it wherever podcasts are found. Like us on social media, as we got really big things. Nobody's covering the Razorback basketball transfer portal and potential coaching carousel like our guys are. So be sure to check it out. Because, again, they're doing a great job on it. But check out the Bombastic podcast because Andrew's doing a great job with that with baseball and everything. So let's keep it moving. Let's keep having fun. And let's keep it all natty. Same sports show, same sports channel. Tomorrow afternoon. Have a great rest of your night, folks. And we will see